It's Sunday today, the 24th of May, and I just wanted to do like a quick catch up because I went out for a walk yesterday with my partner, and we were just walking around the city, just kind of like having a bit of an exploration of the old town, going down the old narrow streets, which I haven't been down for months now. Those were the paths that we always used to pick to walk because they're like less tourists there and cooler, away from the sun, and also just because the streets are so beautiful. They're all like old historic buildings, and it's like going back in time or walking along a movie set. And so we decided that it would be nice to go for a walk early in the morning before it got busy and before it got too hot. And we were strolling along, and as we were walking, I was getting really annoyed with my mask. Like I started out like not going out at all during this 2 month period, for the 2 months, because we weren't allowed to, and also because of an injury as well. So even when they opened it up and you were allowed to go out, I was kind of not quite sure if I would be able to. And so when we were finally allowed to go out for like walks again, which was about 2 weeks ago now, I think, maybe less, I was really apprehensive because I hadn't had that daily exposure that my partner, going out to get the shopping every day, had. So he was like quite familiar with the whole notion of going out and wearing masks and social distancing, and I wasn't. It was alien and strange to me. And so the first time I tried to go out, as I've said before, I had really bad anxiety, I freaked out and had to come home again straight away. I couldn't even manage to get further than just across the street. The second time it was a lot easier. I managed to go for like a half an hour to a 40-minute walk, but I was really conscious of observing like really wide social distancing, wanting more than 2 meters, and I really wanted my mask on my face. The third time I was less kind of like conscious of being so far away from people. I was starting to get a bit more comfortable. So it was only if someone was like showing signs of maybe having some kind of like cold or flu or something that I was like uncomfortable. And I wanted to take my mask off, but I didn't because I was carrying my dog in my arms, and so it was hard to like unhook it and put it back on with her. But I said to my partner, who was with me at the time, take yours off if you want to. While I want people around, because it's so hot, it's unbearable, and it's not healthy to keep it on. So like my mindset had already started to shift by that point, which was around about when like the media started shifting as well, so that there were more people coming out and speaking out against how actually the mask can be quite dangerous for you. And before that, we hadn't heard anything about that here. So to start off with, I thought, the masks were a really good idea, and it was safe and it was sensible, and I was uncomfortable with people that weren't wearing them. And then when the new information came out, I then realised, how actually they were bad for your immune system. And I kind of went back, and I was, I guess, joining up all the dots in my own information, in my own, memory as well, because I kind of know this. I know that wearing something over your face is not healthy. Breathing in recycling air is not healthy. But I kind of like, in the whole mass media hype and fear of the virus pandemic and everything, it's not that I'd forgotten that, but I guess like the threat of imminent death from some deadly virus was more terrifying than what might be happening oxygen-wise with wearing a mask. And so I kind of believed in the mask, and I believed it would protect me, and so that if I wore this mask, I would be completely and utterly safe from catching COVID. And then now my mind is like swimming with loads of different thoughts and all of this different information out there, and it's kind of like, well, if you're wearing a mask, it's not really going to protect you from the COVID. It's only going to, if you've got COVID, going to protect you from giving it to someone else, potentially. And there's loads of different diagrams about this that tell you like the different percentages of like if you're wearing a mask and someone else is wearing a mask, like the numbers all shift. So if someone's got COVID and they cough and they're not wearing a mask and you're not wearing a mask, then the percentage is a certain amount. If they've got it and they cough and they're not wearing a mask but you are, then the percentage is different, and it goes on, so that, you know, eventually it's like, oh, you're both wearing a mask, and it's meant to be safer that way, but we don't really know, do we? And maybe if you're wearing a mask and they're not wearing a mask and they cough, maybe you get it trapped inside your mask and then it's even worse. So I've started to like not want to be wearing this thing on my face and objecting to it in many ways, and not just because it looks stupid. It's really uncomfortable. You can't breathe properly. You sweat underneath like mad because it's really hot here. I worry about the chemicals that are in the mask because it's not made of natural fibres. So like, what are you breathing in toxicity wise with the actual mask? I worry about like not getting enough oxygen, recycling carbon dioxide, about like, you know, the rebreathing in like viruses and bacteria and stuff from yourself. You know, because when we breathe, we're eliminating toxins, and so we're eliminating and then breathing it back in again. So all of this stuff concerns me. And so my mindset about the virus and everything has shifted quite a lot, quite quickly. And I think had I been going out the whole way through, and had I been the one to go out and get the shopping, maybe my mindset would have shifted a bit quicker and a bit earlier. But because I was kind of like stuck at home for a solid 2 and a bit months, my mindset has only just started to move, and so it feels quite rapid, this like changing of opinion. But I'm allowing it to happen, and I'm trying not to think too badly of myself, I guess, for the way that I thought before, and also not to be too rigid in how I feel right now, because I am allowing that the landscape of this whole situation is changing so drastically that my opinion could well change again, and my opinion is only ever formed from the information that I have at that current time. So the information that I have at the current time now has shifted my opinion to believing that we're better off not wearing a mask. Right at the time when the Spanish government decides that we all have to wear a mask. Yeah, so now that I'm like, no, it's much better not to wear a mask, I believe that now. And now that I'm less fearful of this virus, because I think we understand more about it and how it spreads, and I think also we know more about how to treat it now. So if you do get it, you've got a better chance of being okay because they know what to do if you end up in hospital, whereas before they didn't know what to do if you ended up in hospital, and that was the main problem. So I feel more comfortable trusting my immune system now than maybe I did before. And also I've done a lot of detoxing and healing and cleansing and everything while we've been in quarantine. So I believe my body is stronger and more capable now than it was at the beginning. So I was out for a walk yesterday, and I was getting really fed up with my mask. And because it was like quiet and we were in the old town, I was just taking it off my face, and then if someone came along or whatever, then I would put the mask on while we walked past them and then take it off again. And I felt much better that way. I felt like, oh, I'm actually getting fresh air in my lungs. Like, this walk is actually doing me some good, not total good, because the mask was like on my face maybe, I don't know, 50% of the time. The on-off thing of the mask is not the most practical thing in the world, especially when you're carrying a dog in your arms and you've only got one hand. And yeah, also there's the worry of like dropping it and all of that stuff. So we were walking and we turned a corner, and somebody said hi, and I looked up and there was a friend. And it was the most amazing thing, because I haven't actually seen anybody, in 2.5 months, bar my partner and my dog. I haven't seen any other real person like that I know in person. I've walked past strangers on the street recently, but that's it. And for and a bit months, I didn't see anyone apart from my partner and my dog at all. I've never had that before, ever. And so, you know, like, I've spoken to people on Skype, but it's not the same at all. So meeting a real person who I knew was just, it was such a blessing. It was such a gift. It was the most amazing feeling. And he wasn't wearing a mask because he'd just nipped out to go to the shops, and he was like, whoops, I didn't wear a mask. And he was just kind of winging it and hoping he'd be okay. And I had mine on when we met with him, and then I was like talking, and he was across the street, and it just felt really rude, and it felt really wrong, and really unnecessary. And so I took my mask off while we were talking, and I felt fine, and I felt totally comfortable, and I didn't feel freaked out or worried or anything. And then, like, we walked with him to where he was going, and then said goodbye and left. And we didn't like hug or kiss or anything, you know. We observed like a kind of asocial distancing, but I think it was really more like 1 meter and not 2 meters. But I realized that, like, the whole fear that I've been carrying for so long, and I think the fear that a lot of people have been carrying for so long, is, it's like it's been planted in our heads by media campaigns, and we've been brainwashed to believe in this way, to be fearful of one another because of this virus. So it's not just the virus we're scared of, we've been programmed to fear each other, and that's just a horrible thing. And I realised through seeing this friend, like, how easy it is to fall victim to that fear when you're trapped in your house and you can't go out and you can't see anybody. So you have no reality, you have no real connection with what's going on. So it all goes into your head, all goes into your imagination, and that is a wild, crazy place. Yeah, and that's the place where you know, these nightmare movies and things like that come from. That's the place where The Walking Dead comes from. That's the place where Contagion comes from. That's the place where 28 Days Later comes from. You know, all of that stuff's up there. And then when you go outside and you're on the ground and you're in real life in your country and you're walking around and you realise that people are just people, and you look at all of the people wearing masks on their faces, and you know, some people look scared still and some people look totally fine and comfortable, but you look at all of these people and you think, all of these people are good, all of these people are lovely people, because, like, whether we should or shouldn't be doing what we're told, whether we should or shouldn't be, like, standing up for our human rights and our individual freedoms and everything, everybody is, like, following what they've been told to do by the government, because they have the utmost respect for one another. So whether we're stupid to be wearing a mask or not, and whether we're sheep and whether we're enslaved and all of this stuff that people are saying, like, what really, really strikes me at the moment, both within the people that are and aren't wearing masks, so the people that are standing up and the people that aren't standing up, and the people that are scared and the people that aren't scared, is that everybody has taken a hit. Everybody has gone, okay, I will social distance, I will quarantine, I will wear a mask, I will respect these new rules, I will respect my new way of life, I will let the police tell me what I can and cannot do, and the military tell me what I can and cannot do. And whether that's weakness or not, because people are saying you should stand up and you're weak and you're stupid if you allow yourself to be bossed around by that. But I actually think that people are amazing, because their love for one another and their love for their family and their love for themselves is steering them to go along with this and to do this. And that's the most selfless thing, I think, to, for the sake of your neighbour, for the sake of the stranger down the road, social distance and wear a mask and take all of these precautions so that this thing doesn't spread. Because it's not just about yourself, it's about everybody else as well. And I'm really comforted by the fact that so many people all over the world are looking out for one another. And so I really do have hope in the future that, like, we've all come together so much now and we're united as one, as a people. And it might be us against the leaders, or it might be us and the leaders, like, depending on where you are right now and what your viewpoint is and who you trust. But, like, there's a huge group of people all collected together. And that's where you change things, that's where you change the world. And so what I realised this week, and if you've watched the rest of my videos, you'll see me, you will have, like, seen and heard me go through my different viewpoints on this whole thing, and my different feelings and emotions, and in what I've been experiencing in real time, and my thoughts and my beliefs, and you will have observed how they've gradually changed and shifted. So I think what I'm saying is, like, if we can be more grounded, if we can be in touch with the earth, with the ground, with reality, with what's happening outside on the street, in our local, wherever we live, more often, and if we can talk to other human beings face to face, that's where we find strength, and that's when we find logic, and that's where we find clarity. And we can kind of, like, sweep away the fog and the clouds and everything, and realise that life is about connecting with one another. Life is about friendship. Life is about tactile experiences. And life without those things is not really life. So my perspective at the moment is kind of, if I have to live in a world where I can't meet up with people in person and sit at the same table with them and exchange a kiss on each cheek and a hug with my friends, if I can't sit next to other people in a restaurant or in a cafe because of how the tables are positioned, when tables are positioned at normal distances, if I can't walk around a shop where there are other people walking around shops, if I can't walk on the beach where there are other people walking on the beach or lying on the beach, if I can't use a swimming pool with other people inside it, if I can't go to the gym, if I can't go to church and pray, if I can't walk around a museum or an art gallery when there are other people just mulling around and they might, nudge shoulders with me and stuff, if I can't go to a yoga class or a workshop and learn a new skill, if I can't sit in a hall with lots of other people to partake of some form of entertainment or hear some lecture, if I can't travel to other places in the world and have new experiences and meet new people, if I can't go and get a physio treatment or an acupuncture treatment, or, there's so many things. If we can't do any of these things which we're used to doing, these things which we value, then what's it all about and what's it all for? What is the point? And I think now I'm starting to kind of feel like those things are more important to me than staying safe and protected at home. So I feel more inclined to take a potential risk and trust that I'll be okay if I catch the virus, than just hole up and not go anywhere for the rest of however long. because I don't want to be stuck waiting for a vaccine to come along and believe that that is the solution to everything, because that's not how I think about these things. That's not where I stand on this whole thing. I would like to believe either that this virus will just go away and then we don't have to worry about it anymore, or that there will be a holistic cure and then we'll all be okay. But I don't want to be thinking about vaccines to protect against it, because I think that's a whole other minefield, and I think there are so many dangers involved in that as well, so that the vaccine might not actually be that beautiful gift you think it is. That vaccine might actually be a ticket to the rest of your life in hell if you're one of those unlucky people whose immune system cannot handle being injected with a vaccine, because some people can handle it and process it and detox it and have the immune response and then be okay again afterwards, and other people can't, and other people's entire lives are affected as a result thereafter. And so yeah, I think I'd rather risk the COVID than that, personally. And I've had enough stories now of people that have had it and been okay, people that have had it badly and been okay, and maybe I've even had it mildly and been okay. I'm not entirely sure. You know, it's hard to know. What's what, really, isn't it? So if you've had strange things going on at the beginning of the year, was that it, or was it something else entirely? You know, not everything would have been COVID. So yeah, so I guess my thoughts right now are that I'm moving into embracing less fear, and I'm realizing how much we have been manipulated. And you know, I've seen data about this too. I've seen like memos about how the media was instructed right at the beginning to create fear, because that is the way to create submission. And so that to get us to stay at home and not complain, they had to make it really, really scary. And they did a really good job. But I didn't realise they did that on purpose, like that purposefully. And now it's come out that it actually was that purposeful. So yeah, I think that the more information that comes out, the more my little naive eyes are opening wider and wider and wider, and I'm realising that, you know, this world that we live in is very different to the world that I thought we lived in. And it's making me grow up an awful lot, I guess, in a way that I had no intention of growing. Like, you know, there's parts of me that are very, very mature, parts of me that are like an old soul, and I'm like, oh, I've been here before, I've done it so many times, I'm just bored of it now. And I get frustrated sometimes with like new souls, young souls who just don't understand, and I'm like, but it's so obvious. But yeah, things like current affairs in the news, I have decided not to partake in this lifetime. They don't sit well with my soul. I do not want to be hearing about so much death and sadness and all of the fear and everything. But yet I've kind of like had to chosen to know more recently now, just to be educated on what's going on right now, because I feel like I owe it to myself to be educated. Like, if I'm going to be responsible about myself and responsible to myself for my health and my well-being and everything, then I need to be aware of what's going on, because otherwise something might happen and I'll be blindsided. So there's a certain amount that I know, but there's still a lot that I don't know, because I'm not spending all day every day following it. I'm like dipping in here and there, but it's kind of like it's reminded me why I don't like keeping up to date with things on a regular basis, because of the way that it's managed and how heavy-handed it is, and how lacking in love and light and grace, how little celebration there is. And yeah, so I think as time passes and as I do more of these updates, I think you'll probably, this is me just projecting into the future. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow though, really, but I think that you'll find me becoming more and more liberal and relaxed about how I feel about the whole thing, and yeah, and then who knows what will happen next, and how I'll feel and how I'll choose to act or respond. But I just wanted to kind of say that it was amazing bumping into another human being and having a normal conversation with them and feeling connected and remembering the joy of an interaction with, someone you haven't seen for a while, so it's all novel and new, and hearing someone else's story and perspective on the whole thing as well was like, yeah, it was like a bit of normality back in my day yesterday, briefly. And it's given me so much more courage and confidence with moving forwards and future interactions with people. Yeah, I think it's really taken the sting out of the situation for me. And I consider it was a divine gift, just sent, without warning from above, because, there was no, the chances of me bumping into him were so slim. I didn't know where he lived at all. I've only been out a few times since, and so to coincide his leaving with my being on a walk and then my walking past where he lived was just there's so many things have to come into alignment for that to happen, and yet it did. And I feel really, really blessed by that. And I just wanted to share it. And I also wanted to share my changing viewpoint, because I want to be honest about this whole thing and authentic about how I'm feeling and how I'm experiencing it. And I want to be unapologetically owning my truth instead of being ashamed about how my opinion is shifting and changing. It's like, no, I am allowing for that, and I am loving that, because my opinion is based on the information that I have at the time, and then how I process that and digest it, and then how the different parts of me respond to it. And the younger, more childlike parts of us take longer to adjust to some things, especially when they're a bit scary. And so it's nice to be slowly catching up, I think. I think that's the main point, to be slowly catching up all parts of myself again. Feels much calmer and much lighter and more hopeful.